Okay, so it is currently December 12th, and if you can see by the stuff that's behind me, I'm preparing something. What that something is actually the Mardi Gras king cakes. It's about time for that. It's January. That's usually when I release them. But what I'm actually going to talk about is that I managed to squeeze in another convention for December. The one I'm talking about is the Big Apple Comic-Con, which is on December 16th. So I only have a few days to get things ready. I'm not too worried about that though, because I'm not really making anything new for this convention. I'm just going to bring what I already have, and my goal really is to just clear out stock because I'm trying to prepare for new stock next year. So let's get things together. I'll go through my process on how I'm going to do things last minute. It's only going to be me here, so I'm not going to do my grid setup. I have a separate setup for when I'm the only one putting up my table, and I'll go over what things I'm going to bring this time. So let's get into it. First off, I print out my con checklist and registration papers. I didn't need my full packet since this was so last minute. If you're curious about my organization charts, comment below so I can answer any questions you might have. Here is everything I need to bring, but it's from the last con, so I'll need to reorganize it for a single person setup. Since I do have my t-shirts in, I thought about debuting them here, but that's too much for me to carry, so I'll be wearing this shirt to advertise to buy them online. Next, I plan to bring these Pride cookie sets so I can try and sell them out at a discount. I've had them for a long time, and while they did pique interest, they got no sales. So my goal is to try and clear them out on sale. My large prints and display signs are already in this flat file next to my pull display, and my collapsible wire rack and gridded flat cubes will be coming with me. I'm going to need to condense the bulk of my items into 3 bins, which will contain my grid cubes, display items, and most of my merch. I won't be using my book rack or larger display racks for this setup. Since the cubes are flat, I can fit a bit of merch on top and save space. I have some extra space in my charm bin, so I'll add my pins to it. I usually pack the charm bin in a bin so I can carry less. And then I use the other half to pack all my knit goods. As for my small prints and stationery, I was going to move the stationery out, but I decided to take the bag as is. So instead, I made sure there was enough room to pack my stickers into. I only selected my best-selling stickers to make this easier on myself. With all those packed, this just leaves my smaller apparel items, which fit right into this bin. Okay, that's all my merchandise and displays. Next are my general supplies for store operations and other needs. I will condense what I'm taking into this book bag. I'm going to need at least my card readers, charging bank, scissors, first aid kit, checkout tablet, and extension cord. Okay, so we're heading out now. I'm gonna start setting up everything. See you there. After finding my table, I noticed 2 things. 1, I now had an 8-foot table, and 2, I was in the far back corner. So I needed to make sure my displays covered enough of the table and that I didn't get washed out in the back here. Luckily, I had my tablecloth made for 8-foot tables instead of 6-foot for reasons like this. Now I'll set up my cubes as the bones of my display. The reason I stopped using cubes is because they take longer to set up and take down, and the connectors would often break. But because they are more compact and easier to carry around, I keep them for solo setup. They also have the benefit of being versatile in how you can arrange them. Alright, I think I'll go with this layout. Now for the other displays. I'm assembling the foldable grid rack I use in place of my baker's rack for single setup. And then my battery was dying, so I put my phone down to charge and filled the rest with the details. If you have any specific questions on how I set this up, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, aside from the bones of the table, everything else is pretty much like how I set up my display in other videos. Alright, so we got everything set up for the most part, just the decoration, which is what I'm going to take care of tomorrow. So let's head home, get some rest, and then come do the con tomorrow. Since it's December in New York, and the AC at conventions can get pretty cold when you're just sitting there as a vendor, I dressed warm and comfy today, which turned out to be not needed because this ended up being one of the warmest days in December. Let's head out to the New Yorker Hotel. I'm here at 7 a.m. to finish the setup, and everyone else has started setting up too. Here's how it looks with the pole display and everything set out. So after all that, how did things go? Overall, a bit meh, but there were some sales goals I met. First, like I said earlier, I wanted to clear out these knit goods because they were getting a lot of attention and they just haven't been moving. So I discounted them 50% off since they've just been sitting there for a long time. It was a good move because everything sold out immediately and I had no dead stock to take back home, which gives me room for new ideas. Next, my t-shirt advertising went well since I made a sale on this shirt design. Only one sale was directed to my online shop, but I consider that good since I did not physically have the shirts with me to display. I will have them for my next con though. On that same note of advertising, the bandana I'm wearing got a lot of sales. So I'm glad to see the reception for my apparel items is doing well. Everything else went as well as usual, so the day continued and eventually came to an end. All packed up and ready to head home. So overall, while I did meet some of the goals I set, I felt that the foot traffic was just not enough to make up for the cost of the table. I did have consistent sales throughout the convention, but there just wasn't a lot of people. So I might not do this con again next year, but it was helpful in clearing out my dead stock just in time for the new year. Stay tuned to see what new things I'll have in store for next year. Happy holidays!